Remember when Brooklyn was really bad?
Just got to attack.
Well, about a month later, it seems like Brooklyn has proved everyone wrong. To start off the season, Brooklyn was not a good team. They had many issues going on, whether it was with the coaching or players. At that point, it was just a ticking time bomb. So what changed? Earlier this season, Steve Nash was fired, and a lot of people thought that he was to blame, but I was one of the few that didn't think it was his fault. Because looking at the roster and the issues they faced, it really didn't seem like this team could contend. Sure, at best they were a play-in, maybe 8th seed team, but they couldn't go anywhere farther than that. Until I realized one thing: Kyrie Irving wasn't playing. Now, Kyrie Irving is one of those guys that I say, if he's playing, he's one of the best players in the NBA, but when he's not, it's so frustrating because it's just wasted talent. And after that whole Kyrie situation, it was kind of inevitable that he was going to be suspended for a while, which he was. But then he made his return, and I think that's where everything took a turn. The Brooklyn Nets are 12-3 ever since Kyrie Irving returned from his 8-game suspension. In that 15-game span, they've been a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense. Also, the team has had no drama, which is one of the biggest reasons why this team has failed in the past. They've even managed to become the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. And after Boston's been on a little bit of a losing streak, it looks like Brooklyn could actually become the 1 seed. The Brooklyn Nets are currently 19-12, and the Milwaukee Bucks are 21-8, which would make the Nets 3 games back from the 1 seed. Mind you, this was a team at one point that wasn't even in playoff contention. So sure, Kyrie Irving coming back has definitely played a role, and the drama will obviously play a role, but I think we also need to look at their coaching situation. To start off the year, the Brooklyn Nets had Steve Nash, and he only coached for 7 games where they went 2-5. And if you want a visual representation on how the team was playing, well, yeah, it was not good. After firing Nash, Jack Vaughn stepped up as the interim head coach, and the Nets have been 17-7 since. Now, how much of an impact has he really made? When years pass, I feel like we've seen head coaches that aren't that good, they're kind of mid, but because they have really good players, it just makes them look good. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Frank Vogel. And I think Steve Nash might have been an example of that. Sure, we can always say Kevin Durant was 1 inch away from making the Eastern Conference Finals, but at the end of the day, they didn't make it. And they couldn't even capitalize the season after, so it makes you really think. So maybe Steve Nash wasn't a good head coach, but okay, Jack Vaughn has the star players and there's no drama, so maybe he is a good head coach? I can't tell you if Jack Vaughn is a good head coach because I don't think he has that much experience, and if he does, it hasn't been recently. But let's give some credit to Jack Vaughn. Ever since he's been on the team, there really hasn't been that much drama. Okay, but like, that's just Kyrie Irving being Kyrie Irving. Okay, but even after that, really nothing has happened. And I think just one Kyrie Irving incident in like a month span isn't that bad. And well, now that Kyrie is back, the team is winning and Kevin Durant looks good again. Not to mention, the bench that I criticized in the past is actually starting to step up, despite them making some differences in the rotation, which is why I think they're playing better on the bench. Oh, and Ben Simmons is averaging 8 points per game. I mean, it's not that good, but it's better than nothing. But there's something that a lot of people are still asking about this team. Is this sustainable? Don't get me wrong, the team is playing good. Jack Vaughn seems like he knows what he's doing. There's no drama in Brooklyn right now. But yeah, people are still asking if this is sustainable. And there's really only 2 reasons why. But if I'm being real, I don't think this is fair to Brooklyn. The 2 common things I'm seeing is that the Brooklyn Nets are going to eventually have some drama rise, and the second thing is Kyrie Irving is the most inconsistent player to play of all time. Now, of course, it's a known fact that Brooklyn has more drama than any episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. But maybe Jack Vaughn can change that. Because if I'm being real, I don't think Steve Nash really knew what he was doing. There are really only a few head coaches in NBA history that I think have been able to manage that many egos on one team. Because let's really break it down. Kyrie Irving is one head case. James Harden is just annoying to play with. And Kevin Durant, he's also a head case. So imagine having those 3 on a team and then throwing them together and trying to win a championship. Sure, on paper it's going to work, but you actually have to deal with all the problems of having 3 superstars on one team, because 1 superstar can already be annoying. 2 is manageable, but at 3, you're just trying to fuck up a team. But you guys might say, wait, what about the Warriors when they had a super team, or the Chicago Bulls? Well, to tackle Chicago, they had many issues and they were all shown on The Last Dance. And the Warriors have also had their struggles. But I think what separates them from the Nets experiment argument is that they were able to keep it inside the locker room. Well, except when you make a fucking 10-hour documentary about that team. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a good documentary though. Also, Phil Jackson and Steve Kerr are the only two head coaches I can think of in my head right now that can actually manage that. I love Steve Nash, but I just didn't think there was a way he was gonna be able to manage that team. To be honest though, there's like 95% of head coaches that I don't even think can manage that team. Now going back to Jack Vaughn, yes, it's a 25 game sample size, but I think that counts for something. I mean, it's not his fault that Kyrie Irving posted that tweet, but everything else after that he's been able to control, and so far it seems like he's been able to control the locker room. Before I go on with the video, if you guys are enjoying this, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it. Also, follow my Twitter, I talk about the NBA on there. Now, there's something that some people aren't talking about, but I think this could be in the argument: is this sustainable? Your takeaway from the Nets beating the Pistons might have been the fact they only won by 3 despite Detroit being very underhanded. And sure, you could say that, but the most telling thing to me is the fact that Kevin Durant and Kyrie had to score 81. Actually, wait, that's not fair. Let's throw in Ben Simmons' 4 points. So combined, those 3 players had to score 85 of Brooklyn's 124 points, which accounts for 69% nice of Brooklyn's points last night. I mean, I'm looking at the scoring distribution and it just looks like a mess. I mean, the 3rd highest scorer was Royce O'Neal. That's not to say anything bad about Royce O'Neal. I like him, but I think that just shows you how fucked up the scoring distribution was. Also, that's no hate to Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons, and Kyrie Irving. If y'all need to score 85 to win a game, do your thing. This is more a shot at the bench that did absolutely nothing. If you want to bring up the drama and say that's not sustainable because, again, they're an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians basketball edition, but your star players need to play like 35 minutes and also score 30 plus every single game is not sustainable. I mean, do y'all remember when Kevin Durant was averaging 40 minutes per game in the playoffs because Brooklyn couldn't do anything? Of course, James Harden was playing on 1 foot, and I'm pretty sure Kyrie Irving was injured for most of the series, but I got a bad feeling if they make the playoffs that Kevin Durant is going to be playing like 45 minutes per game. Oh, and of course, he's going to have to average like 35, and Kyrie's going to need to average 30, and Ben Simmons is going to need to average like 7. Yeah, he's going to need to do a lot. But maybe this is sustainable. I mean, sure, basketball is a team sport, and it's kind of a good thing if you have a good bench. I mean, I can't tell you the last time a team won the NBA Finals and I didn't think they had one of the best benches in the NBA. Okay, so let's ask the question, is this sustainable? I mean, the whole video is based on the Brooklyn Nets proving everyone wrong, but I think this also needs to be asked because the Lakers just went on like a 5-game plus win streak like a couple weeks ago, and I was about to make a video on them. But now it's the same old, and Anthony Davis is once again hurt. So y'all are not getting that video for a while, or ever for that matter. F the Lakers. In all seriousness, do I think this could go on? Is this sustainable? No, I don't. And it's not the drama. I mean, sure, Kyrie Irving might do some stupid shit, but that's kind of like inevitable. But maybe Jack Vaughn will make a difference on that, and even if he does, that's not my concern. And it's not the injuries. I mean, injuries are part of the game. Like, that's a pretty normal thing in the NBA. If you're saying this team can't be good because of injuries, that's kind of unfair because injuries, again, are pretty common. But that's not my reasoning for saying this isn't sustainable. It's not sustainable because Kevin Durant and Kyrie have to put up 80 to have a chance to beat the Pistons. And of course, it's just one bad game. It's a trap game and they barely beat them, but they still got the W. But I'm noticing a trend where Kevin Durant and Kyrie have to play very well for the team to even have a fighting chance, which would also increase the chance of Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant getting injured. And who knows, maybe players on Brooklyn will step up and maybe even Ben Simmons will score like 10 points. But in all seriousness, this team is going to need to do a little bit more than win just 6 straight games. Of course, I do see some potential there, but I just don't think it can lead to long-term success.